Hello? Okay, that's working. Hello? 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 Okay, there you go. Break that down a bit. Blah, 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 blah. Jesus Christ. I've lost all my settings because I've been trying to fix it and I just couldn't fix it. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to reset it and then it worked, but now without all my settings. So if you hear random crap in the background, I guess, then that's what you're going to get. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I am just so fucking exhausted. This channel's got to see me at my best and my worst. And right now, not at my worst, but don't. It's not anything too bad. I'm just exhausted. And the fact that I start off this stream with audio issues that delay me by about 30 minutes is not a good start. Um, the other thing I wanted to test out was lighting. So right now, actually, lighting's okay because the sun is in whatever particular position, but I got this ring light that I've kind of put just arbitrarily behind my monitors for now. But that should light up my face a bit more, maybe come later on in case it gets darker, or just for whatever reason in the future if I need a ring light. Actually, I've had this ring light for at least a year now, but I just come around to reusing it. Um, this channel's had a couple of switch ups here and there. It kind of started off as drawing and then it's gone into somewhat music writing and then to politics and then going to Davinci Resolve. So I get that the focus of this channel is a bit confused. But to be honest, in general, I think it's just because I'm a confused person. Basically, though, the idea is that I want to be doing this as a music channel to but I want to do this as like a music channel to inspire people to be more creative with their stuff and blah 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 blah. Um, that's the aim. The aim is to learn more about music, getting more creative with music, doing more music production stuff. But the reason that I'm going into DaVinci Resolve is because I want to start making YouTube videos based on this. And DaVinci Resolve is free. It costs £300 to get the full version, which is good for me because I don't want to be paying like a subscription or anything other. Um, but yeah, I'd rather just pay it outright if I really need the extra features. So this is a video based on a say this is a video. This video here, a recording something. I don't 100% know what, but you can see it here. It's a weird recording thing, and it's this is based on a not a music, a Vinci tutorial by Cassie Ferris. So subscribe to him. He's the actual genius here. This channel is just going through learning how to actually do this stuff in the first place. It seems like he has a couple of crash courses. 2 hour crash course and then an introduction. I don't really know what the difference is, but maybe we watch both. We watch one and then glance through the other. But I'm hoping that this will give me the basics of learning how to get on with DaVinci and then we can go from there. So I'm probably going to start off by watching this guy and then I don't exactly know how I'm going to do this in a way that is transformative, but I guess what I'm going to do is literally just put this onto the other screen and you're going to be seeing my process of doing it. I'll probably talk over his process as it's going. I was intending to start this video, this stream, so this stream that we're doing right now, I was intending to do this about 2 hours ago, but I kept having delays, so I might not have enough time anymore to even get all the way through this, but we will come back and forth into this. You might not even see this full tutorial, you'll probably only see parts of it, but anything that I learn, I might bring back here. Maybe I'll do a bit of video editing when I make my video, because I've got some ideas of what I want to do video wise. Once I make my video, I can stream it on here, and so yeah, I don't know how much is being picked up. If I speak like this, like hello, 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 I feel like the noise gate is getting in the way. I'm just gonna put it there. That works. Right. Let's just start watching this then.
I designed this to be literally the best Resolve video on the internet. At the end of this video, you'll be able to create your own projects in Davinci Resolve, and you're going to know the basics of every step in the process, from importing media to making a rough cut, to polishing your story, to adding visual effects and graphics, color grading, audio mixing, and all the way into final render. I'm going to move really slow and show you every step, and you can even download media and follow along with me. Just click the download media link down below in the description. There are two versions of Resolve. There's the paid version, which is $300, and the free version, which is free. And you should be able to use the free version of Resolve to do pretty much everything in this video. This is essentially a course that we've offered on Ground Control for the last couple of years called Introduction to Davinci Resolve. But we've decided to update the course and put it here on YouTube absolutely free. Why is that? Well, my specialty and what we do at Ground Control is we teach Fusion. We teach the Fusion page of Resolve.
Fusion.
That's making effects and graphics and fancy stuff for your videos. And it's an amazing part of the app, but there's kind of a decent learning curve.
So what I know about Fusion is that you can add different effects here. I actually can't remember why I did this. I think I was able to put together or turn a media thing into a bunch of images with this. But this reminds me of Unreal Engine, because I've done a bit of Unreal Engine in the past. It has that look to it.
That's why we have an in-depth beginner Fusion course called Fusion Zero to Hero. We've brought hundreds of students through that course, and we're convinced it's the very best way to learn Fusion when you're ready. But if you don't know Resolve, you're not really ready to learn Fusion yet. So my hope is that you'll pick up Resolve and you'll start to love it and use it to make videos every day. And pretty soon, you're going to want to learn Fusion. That's where we can really help you out. For now, if you're just getting started with Resolve, my name's Casey, and I've helped people over the last 10 years, like millions of people, learn how to use Resolve. And I'm really excited to dig in and have some fun. So let's go. So before we dive in, here's what you need. First of all, to use Resolve, you need a pretty darn good system. And I know pretty darn good is subjective, but we're talking about like a mid-range gaming PC, something with a good graphics card, one of the later Macs, like an M1 or M2 Mac, something that's pretty beefy. You don't want to try to use Resolve on an underpowered computer. You're just gonna have a bad time. And Resolve likes resources. That's really the only bad side about Resolve is you have to have a really good system. So that's a prerequisite. Next thing is you got to download Resolve. You can go to blackmagicdesign.com/support and scroll down here under latest downloads. And somewhere around here, you should find the latest version of Davinci Resolve. In this course, I'm gonna be using Resolve 18.6.4, and you can get the free version and follow along, or you can get the studio version. I'm going to be using the studio version, but most of what I'm doing is exactly the same in the free version, and if it's not, I'll tell you. The other thing that's going to be helpful is a little bit of knowledge of editing and how video production works and media and that kind of thing. That's going to do nothing but help you on your Resolve journey here. If you've used other video editing apps, or even if you've done something like edit audio, or you've made music, anything with tracks and a timeline, that's going to really help. However, we are going to go really slow. I'm going to try and explain everything the best I can, even for beginners, but just saying. The other thing is time. This is going to be a decent chunk of time, a lot longer than this video is going to take, because you will need to put in some time to practice to actually get these concepts. So if you have these first two, that's essential. If you have a little bit of knowledge of how some media stuff works and the time to put in, you are going to do great. Now, if you want to follow along with me, you can click the link down in the description. It's going to be one of the first links, and it's going to say download project and media files here, and that'll take you to a page where you can sign up to download a zip file that includes a .dra. Now, this DRA file is
yeah, so the reason I'm playing this whole video, by the way, is that I don't know if he does like any promotions along the way. I've already watched up to this point.
is a Davinci Resolve archive.
This is
a
a
folder that contains the project file as well as the media files. Now, the project file in Resolve is just the project itself.
this is the Davinci Resolve file that he's talking about.
The things that you've changed, the things that you're actually working on. And the project file is really, really small. The media files are the things that are really big. So things like video clips, audio clips, photos, sound effects, that kind of thing. And that stuff is separate from the project file. But in this case, for our download here, it's all put in one folder that's renamed a .dra file. You can double click on this DRA file and it'll open up in Resolve and it should look something like this. Once it does, you can double click it to open it and you should have a project that looks something like this and you'll be able to follow along with me. Again, this file is going to be in a zip file. And so you'll need to unzip the file, then double click on this, or on this screen in Resolve, you can right click and go to Restore Project Archive. Then you can find this .dra folder and hit open and that'll open it just like that. So with all of that, you should be set to follow along. Now, if you're looking at this and you're like, gosh, there's just a lot here and I don't even know where to start. Before we even dive into the interface, let's just take a step back here and take a look at what the heck we're even trying to do in this whole learning Resolve thing. First of all, what is Resolve? Well, Resolve is an end-to-end post-production program. And it lets you do, all of this stuff that you see here. All of these Hollywood movies have been edited or at least color graded inside of Davinci Resolve. And obviously, it's a very professional, very awesome tool to use to create any kind of video or film or TV show or whatever you want to make as far
I think Davinci Resolve is used by video professionals at this point, which is weird.
Post-production things that you would have to do.
You would have thought they would have used Adobe.
You can do all inside of one app. From your basic edits to color grading to audio mixing in Fairlight to compositing in Fusion. All of that stuff lives inside of Resolve. So you don't have to go to separate apps. You don't have to round trip into, a different suite of software. Some kind of suite that lets you be creative. If there were such a thing, might do it differently. But I think this is the real advantage to Resolve is it's everything you need all in one place. What's also really cool is that you can collaborate with people that you're working with over the internet or through your network, and you can all share a project file.
This is just saying all the different features that it can do and can't do, and
editing or working with media, and this can all happen on the same project at the same time.
And you can have multiple people to edit a video. That's cool.
Awesome if you're just working by yourself. The interface is broken up into different pages, and each page has a different job for post-production. So the cut and the edit pages have to do with actually putting your story together. The color page is for color correction. The Fusion page is for doing compositing and effects and explosions and all of those fancy things. And Fairlight is for getting really detailed with your audio mix. And so these different tasks are laid out from left to right in the app in sort of the order that you would take when you're actually creating something. Starts with media, and you would import your media, your video and your audio, and put it in your project, and then you would edit it and put your story together. Then you do the effects, then you do the color correction, then you do the audio mix, and then finally you would deliver it. You would render it out for other people to see. And so I love Resolve. I use it for my everyday work. Been using it for years, and it's a really wonderfully designed tool to create YouTube videos, television shows, music videos, even Hollywood movies. It just has all the tools you need all in one place, and almost everything is available in the free version, which is just nuts. Pretty much all of the advanced color correction tools and all the awesome stuff you can do in Fusion, all the super powerful audio mixing in Fairlight, as well as the rock solid editing in Resolve are available in the free version without any watermarks or trial periods or anything like that. It's just free. It's just awesome. There's all kinds of cool hardware and stuff that works with the Resolve software. There's hardware for editing and for color, and even some super crazy stuff for audio mixing. Comes in two versions, the free version and the paid version. The paid version is $295. The free version is free. You may be wondering, okay, the free version, what's the catch? There isn't really a lot of catch, honestly. It can do so much. You can render up to Ultra HD, has all the color, and it has so much in it. Oh my gosh, you can use it for commercial work. It's amazing. But with the studio, you buy it one time. It's $295, and it just gives you a little more of the fanciness. It has some more effects. It has some film grain. It supports 10-bit video. It has resolutions beyond 4K, and it has some really cool different AI-driven effects and things like that. It's definitely worth it to pay the one-time fee of $295, and you get free updates too, which is just crazy. Like, I bought my studio version back in, I think, Resolve 9, and I've been using the same license, and now we're on Resolve 18.6. Crazy. So yeah, if you don't know if you should get the studio or not, just get the free version and play around with it. And if you run across a feature that is only in the paid version, it'll tell you. And if you just keep running into those features, then consider getting the paid version. But until then, just use the free version. You're gonna love it. So with all that out of the way, let's dive into Resolve. The first thing that you'll see when you open Resolve is something like this. This window here is called your project manager. This is where you can open projects, you can make new. A lot of stuff can happen if you right click on the empty space here. There's new project, new folder, import project, restore project archive, which we already talked about. And so this is where you'll, open a new project and save things and that kind of thing. Now, all of these projects, they live on a database, or as they call it, a library nowadays. You can go over here on the left and click Add Project Library, and you can tell it where to put the project library. And it's just a folder that lives on your hard drive where it puts all of your project files. All the project files and everything are really small, so you can kind of put it wherever is good for you, but all of your projects are going to live in that folder. Now, this is kind of weird for some people who might be used to keeping their project on a certain folder along with their media files and doing their own project management, but it's really not that big of a deal. You can organize your projects here, and it keeps them all on the same folder, and then you have your media files wherever you want on your system. You can keep those on a separate hard drive and that kind of thing. So if you have a big external hard drive or a NAS or something like that, all your media files stay on that part of the hard drive, and your projects all live in the library for Resolve. If you do want to save out a project and put it somewhere specific, you can right click on a project and go to Export Project, and that'll save a DRP file, which is a Davinci Resolve project. And you can save that wherever you want. And then that's the way that you could give a project to somebody else, or, you can back it up and that kind of thing. So it's easy to do that. It's just you're kind of making a copy of that project rather than actually keeping the project itself on a separate drive. If you have any
Okay.
questions about that, leave them in the comments below, because I know that part can be kind of tricky for some people. One other thing to notice about this project manager is up here on the left, it says local. Now, that means that this is on the project library that's on your system. But if you go over to these other tabs, there's network and cloud. And we'll skip network for this video, but if you click on cloud, this will actually open up libraries that you have shared on the Blackmagic cloud. So in order to share a library, you have to make a library with your Blackmagic account. It's $5 a month, but you can share this with as many people as you want, and they can all work on the same project with you from across the hallway or across the world. Pretty crazy. And it works exactly the same as what we're going to be doing just on the local, but it's on the cloud. And there are some collaboration features and that kind of thing that we can get into later. But it's actually really nice, really well thought out system for sharing projects. But I'm just going to switch back to local and double click on our project to open it up. And when you open your project, it should open up in the edit page or possibly sometimes the cut page. I think a new project by default opens in the cut page, but this project that you download might open up in the edit page. Kind of depends on like what page you had open when you saved this out or when you closed it. But let's take a look at the layout of Resolve. Biggest thing to notice right now is this lower bar. Down here we have the page buttons, and when you click on any of these buttons, it will switch out the entire interface for a different page. So right now I'm in the edit page, but if I switch over to the media page, that switches to media mode. If I switch to Fusion, that switches over to Fusion, color, Fairlight, that kind of thing. And each of these pages is sort of like opening up a completely different app. So they're specialized for a certain post-production task. Just like you might open up a dedicated audio program to work on your audio, you go to Fairlight to work on your audio for your project. But the big advantage here is that all of these pages share the same timeline. And so here we can see we have our edit with the kids looking at the little alien puppet guy. And if I switch over to color, this is the exact same timeline, but in the color page. And so I don't have to export anything. I don't have to convert anything. If I want to do the audio for this one, I can just switch over to Fairlight and I can zoom this in and really start working with the audio. And so that's a really important concept for Resolve, is that all of these pages, they share the same timeline. And by default, it's whatever timeline you have open in this page. If you switch to a different page, that's going to open the same timeline in the next page. So I have color page start here, but if I switch to edit page start, that's going to be a different timeline, which actually doesn't have anything. So that's a really important concept for Resolve, is that all of these pages, they share the same timeline. And by default, it's whatever timeline you have open in this page. If you switch to a different page, that's going to open the same timeline in the next page. So I have color page start here, but if I switch to edit page start, that's going to be a different.
Color page stuff. But what are these? Sorry. Let me go back. Not on that video. On this video.
Color page. And so I don't have to export anything. I don't have to convert all buttons. It will switch the page kind of to projects. But I'm just going to switch back to local and double click on our project to open it up. And when you open your project, it should open up in the edit page or possibly sometimes the cut page. I think a new project by default opens in the cut page, but this project that you download might open up in the edit page. Kind of depends on like what page you had open when you saved this out or when you closed it. But let's take a look at the layout of Resolve. Biggest thing to notice right now is this lower bar. Down here we have the page buttons.
Sorry, I'm going back over and over again. If you don't like that, then, well, watch the actual original video. That's the whole point of watching video. I need to hear this over and over again to get it into my head.
So right now I'm in the edit page, but if I switch over to the media page, that switches to media mode. If I switch to Fusion, that switches over to Fusion, color, Fairlight, that kind of thing. And each of these pages
these are
is sort of like opening up
different
a
programs.
completely different app. So they're specialized for a certain post-production task. Just like you might open up a dedicated audio program to work on your audio, you go to Fairlight to work on your audio for your project. But the big advantage here is that all of these pages share the same timeline. And so here we can see we have our edit with the kids looking at the little alien puppet guy. And if I switch over to color, this is the exact same timeline, but in the color page. And so I don't have to export anything. I don't have to convert anything. If I want to do the audio for this one, I can just switch over to Fairlight and I can zoom this in and really start working with the audio. And so that's a really important concept for Resolve, is that all of these pages, they share the same timeline. And by default, it's whatever timeline you have open.
Wait. So if I move to this one, okay, then I'm going to be on that one. So these are different videos, but they're all shared on the same timeline. Okay.
In this page, if you switch to a different page, that's going to open the same timeline in the next page. So I have color page start here, but if I switch to edit page start,
Change to Color page start. What are these things that we're switching to? We've got color page start, we've got edit page start. Verify. These different videos? Are these different but they're all within the same project, so why would you have different videos in different projects? I don't know. Or is this like, in theory, like you can stitch all of these different videos together and make it into one movie? So you can kind of edit scene by scene? Is that the idea?
That's going to be a different timeline, which actually doesn't have anything. And I switch over to color, there's nothing there. Fairlight, there's nothing there. I can switch timelines by going up here to the upper right above our viewer, and I can pick which timeline I want. That's going to show me the most recent timelines that I've opened, and this project only has a few timelines, so we can see all of them. But I can also go over here to edit page start. That's going to be a different timeline, which actually doesn't have anything. And I switch over to color, there's nothing there. Fairlight, there's nothing there. I can switch timelines by going up here to the upper right above our viewer, and I can pick which timeline I want. That's going to show me the most recent timelines that I've opened, and this project only has a few timelines, so we can see all of them. But
I'm gonna ask that question to ChatGPT. Why do we have different timelines within the same project? Davinci. I'm going to assume existence of different timelines within the same project, particularly in a complex creative or technical piece, something like Davinci, be attributed to several factors: parallel development, different teams, and yeah, okay, incremental delivery. So yeah, so you can have different. Okay, makes sense.
I can also go over here to my media pool on the left in my edit page, and I can find my different timelines and double click on them from the media pool to open those up. I want to point out one really important thing before we just dive in here. In the lower right, there's this settings cog. This is the project settings. This is very important. If you click on project settings, that brings up all the settings that you want to make sure you get right kind of before you get started. That's the best way to do it. There's ways to kind of mess with this if you've already done some editing and everything, but for the most part, you want to make sure that your timeline resolution is what you want. Mine is set at 1920 by 800 because we have this widescreen footage. Timeline frame rate is 23976, which is what we shot at. And I definitely recommend opening this up and playing it around and just looking at all of the stuff. You don't have and switch out the entire interface for a different page. So right now I'm in the edit function. Go to all expert and all between like only has it in my edit. There's this things that that's the best. All the settings that you want to make sure you get right kind of before you get started. That's the best way to do it. There's ways to kind of mess with this if you've already done some editing and everything, but for the most part, you want to make sure that your timeline resolution is what you want. Mine is set at 1920 by 800 because we have this widescreen footage. Timeline frame rate is 23976, which is what we shot at. And I definitely recommend opening this up and playing around and just looking at all of the stuff. You don't have to understand all of it, but go through here and look at some of these things because that will just help you get familiar with where some of these little annoying things that you might need to, switch a tick box or something. This is where a lot of those things are. Now, these settings have to do with just your project. That's why it's called the project settings. So this is stuff like, how big is the resolution of the timeline and what's the frame rate? And if I put a smaller piece of footage into this timeline, what does it do? Does it stretch up to fill the frame or does it just leave it alone? All of that kind of stuff is controlled here in the project settings. And we'll be coming back to this a couple times, I'm sure. If this seems overwhelming for now, don't worry about it too much. But one thing to mention is if
Oh,
I
it's
have this
overwhelming.
house
It's too much.
project
Change.
manager, I'm going to right click and say new project. I'll just say untitled project. When you're looking at a blank project like this, it's a good idea just to go into the project settings and set your resolution. If you want to work at, UHD, switch it to UHD. If you want to do 24 for your frame rate, kind of get that all set up. If you're
So make sure your project settings set before you go.
going to work with color management, like we'll talk about later, now's a good time to set that up really before you do anything else. And I'd say probably the most important thing is the timeline frame rate. Make sure that you set your frame rate right because it's annoying to change this later. The resolution's not that big of a deal. A lot of the other things aren't that big of a deal, but the timeline frame rate, kind of a big deal. Make sure to get that right. And if you don't know what get it right means, it's probably the same frame rate as you shot at. And if you don't know what frame rate you shot at, well, you should probably pay attention to that because different frame rates give you different looks. We'll take a look at how to find a piece of media's frame rate here later. But for now, I'm going to switch back over to our other project here, our downloaded project, and let's just work through these pages. So we're going to start at the very
Let's
left
do
with
this.
the media page.
Right. This is where I've got up to now. I kind of knew all of this up to this point, sort of, but now we're getting into the juicy stuff. I expect we're only going to be doing this for another half an hour. We might get through the media page.
Open that up. And here's kind of the big concept here. The media page is designed to be a workspace where you import media and you manage it and you rename things and organize things and kind of get your affairs in order before you start editing. You don't really have to use the media page. You could just stay in the edit page and drag your media right into the timeline and kind of start working here. But it is a nice way to be able to just preview media that's on your hard drive before you even have it imported into your project. And it gives you a nice big interface to be able to go through your folders and look at all your footage, organize things, and look at all of the data and the properties of every clip. And if you're into getting organized, you're going to be good friends with the media page. So let's kind of break this down. In the upper left-hand corner, we have our media storage panel. That's this part right here. And in this little list here, you can look at all of the hard drives on your system. And you can twirl down the folder structures, and you can preview any of the media that's on your computer. If you double click on a piece of media, that's going to open it up here in this viewer, and you can scrub this and play it back. You can turn on the sound if it has sound and play that back. And so this is actually a really nice way to go through and just see what footage you have available. If you mouse over any of these thumbnails, you can kind of scrub through the footage really easily. You can just kind of quickly look through what you have. You can grab this little slider up here and make these previews a little bigger, or you can make them smaller, depending on what you want to do. And this works for video as well as audio. You can scrub through your audio like this, double click it to bring it up here in the viewer. And yeah, just a nice way to preview things. But so far, none of this media is actually in our project. We haven't imported it at all. It's just on our system. Now, the media always stays on our system. We don't make copies of the media or anything. We haven't really added it to our project. Like, we haven't told the project that we want to use it. If we do want to add something to our project, we can just grab it and drag it down here to this lower part, which is our media pool. Now, the media pool looks a lot like this media storage right here. The difference is that this media pool is a list of organized media that's added to our project. So this is the media that we actually are going to use. We've told Resolve that we don't want to just look at this media on our hard drive. We're going to take this and we're going to put it in a timeline. We're going to work with it and actually edit it. You can't work with something in Resolve until you've imported it into Resolve. And anything that you have imported goes into the media pool. Okay, so this is all of the footage and media and everything that we have in our sample project here. And the media pool works very similar to the media storage. You can mouse over things and it gives you a little preview. You can double click on them to open it up in the viewer and you can scrub through. You can make these thumbnails bigger or smaller. You can switch it to list view or metadata view and you can look at all the, time code information and all of that stuff for all of this footage. And so yeah, you can get really detailed with this stuff. In list view, I like that you can look at all of these different properties sort of in a spreadsheet here. You can
It's a bit weird to just see video footage. I never thought I'd be going in this direction, but hey, that's where we're at now. This is just video footage. This is Fusion Media. What the fuck is this, by the way?
right click on this top part and change the different columns that you want to show. It gives you a little preview. You can double click on them to open it up in the viewer and you can scrub through. You can make these thumbnails bigger or smaller. You can switch it to list view or metadata view and you can look at all the, time code information and all of that stuff for all of this footage. And so yeah, you can get really detailed with this stuff. In list view, I like that you can look at all of these different properties sort of in a spreadsheet here. You can right click on this top part
Oh, you can
and
have like a
choose
side
the
by
different
side.
columns that you want to show. And man, you can just get really deep. We could make this whole course just on the media pool. But again, all of this footage is actually imported into the project now. That means we can work with it. So we've learned about 3 panels so far. The media storage, which is just the media that's on your system that you can preview here. The viewer, where you can preview things. And the media pool, which has all of the media that you've put into the project. Not copied out of the folders on your system, but you're just telling Resolve that you want to use it, kind of adding it to a to-do list almost. In the upper right, we'll see we have these little buttons up here, and some of them are white and some of them are gray. If one of these little headings is white, it means that its panel is showing right now. So audio, when it's white, it has the
Right.
meters and the waveform available, and when I click it, it turns gray and it closes that panel. Same thing with metadata. I have metadata open right
Capture.
now, and if I click that, it closes it and just makes room for the other panels. And that's how a lot of stuff in Resolve works, is there's these buttons up here and it opens and closes the different panels. Now, you can't grab the panels and rearrange them like you can in other software. And I actually really like that because that means that I can't ever lose a panel. It's always in the same place. So in the media page, the meta.
I don't know if I like that. That just basically means that they didn't. I guess it's good because it's universal, but it means that I can't. I want to customize it the way that is most efficient for me. Like making this entire page audio like this, it's not that great, is it? It also means. Oh, okay, no, I can have both. I can't have audio. I either have audio or metadata. I can't have both. Interesting. Not that that's a bad thing. I don't really care. Um. Oh wait a minute. Media. I no. Get rid of inspector. I can have both. I can't have more than 2 at any one time, and I have to optionally turn off the other. Interesting. Okay.
Metadata panel is always here on the right. Now, metadata panel is if you double click on a piece of footage, that'll open that up here in the metadata panel and it will tell you all kinds of fancy information about it. Bit depth and field dominance and all these really, really nerdy things. And you can even look for more nerdy things. If you click on this little list arrow button, there's all these different categories of information here. And
You can get what camera it got shot from, what shot type, production. So I can say this production name is Able. And what is that just permanently on there? Interesting. So you can really label these in any way that you want if you really want to sort them. Oh, that's quite cool as well. It kind of has. There's actually a sense of. Send to this. Interesting. There's like a sense of workflow in this as well. It's not just made for audio creation. It's also actually made for a workflow. I'm a bit just right now. When I say I'm anxious, by the way, that's generally what I mean, is that I'm excited. That's just my negative way of calling it. I'm saying I'm anxious. So I'm gonna roll this ball on my feet. I got this ball that's like a spike ball. I'll show you. I got this. I just roll it on my feet. It's a way of making me focus a bit more. Okay, back to this.
I like to switch it to shot and scene because this is where you can kind of write notes and categorize things. And so I can write a description of whatever this is. So it's, roasting marshmallows on the fire. And I can put in comments and keywords, all kinds of things. I can color code this clip, and I can even put in data about what shot this was, what scene, what take, and angle, whether it's day or night. And I can really just kind of log my footage here, which for some projects might be totally overkill, and some projects might be really good. But you have the ability to get organized based on each piece of media right here in the metadata panel. So depending on how much information we have and how much information we really want to log and get organized, we can fill all this stuff in. Another panel is the inspector panel. The inspector, this is a really important panel. This controls the properties of whatever we have selected. There is a version of the inspector in just about every page of Resolve. So anything that you have selected, you adjust the properties of in the inspector. And we're going to be dealing with this a lot. But just as a little intro,
Why? Oh, I guess if let's say it was shot in this angle, then you can rotate it so that it gets the right angle. But let's just put it upside down real quick. Fusion. Does that mean? I was somewhat hoping it would be upside down like this. Why isn't it upside down? If I've given it this property, then surely it'd be upside down in the show, no? Oh, is this a different shot? No, it's not. We got this. This is the original footage. Or is it when I drag it in now? Okay, if I drag it in, it's going to have a different angle. Okay. Going back then. Oh, God, sorry. I actually kind of cringed at how upside down it was. Let's change that back to 0. Itch and yaw. Oh, God. You can do all sorts of weird transition stuff with this. You can go movie maker with this whole thing. Actually, that is crazy to think about. Maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, really your best shot was Windows Movie Maker. I say 10 years ago. Maybe more like 15 or 20 now. Now you can just get this for free. Something like this used to be only available for rich people, or people who pirated like me. I used to use something called Sony Vegas. That's quite cool. Can I go back and not include that watermark? Okay, cool. Thank you. Distortion is an exclusive feature.
media here in the media pool and zoom it in and kind of change its zoom and its position and everything here in the media pool even before you add this to a timeline. And so you know that if you really want this zoomed in like this and you're never going to use the wider shot, you can just do this while you're kind of organizing your media, and that might be helpful. Of course, you can always reset things by clicking this little circle.
It's interesting that this is available before. Like, because if I click this now I can do a rotation. The original one doesn't have a rotation. So I guess you can, this is like a global setting, in case, for whatever reason, you wanted to just do it at this point. Maybe this is more better for bigger workflows when you're working with other people and you just want to around with this. I don't know. For whatever reason, you want to mess around with this as a media guy, as a it's media mode. Yeah, media mode. I kind of want the text down here. I don't know if that's an option. Oh, okay. So those are the projects that I've been working on before. There's a really bad angle of me. Uh, that was when I was practicing with AI stuff. Uh, and trust me, I don't know anything about this software.
These properties or the circle arrow plus in the upper right hand corner to reset everything. And with any of these controls, I can just grab this little text box and drag left and right to change that value. I can hold Alt to move a little bit slower, have a little bit finer control. 0.5 like that. And
God, I'm actually gonna really enjoy this, aren't I?
in Resolve. We also have a capture panel, which has to do with actually capturing things from a film scanner or a tape deck, and we're not going to get into that today. Mostly what you need is the inspector, the metadata panel, and the media pool. So yeah, to import things into Resolve, you can go to the media storage and drag it in from the media storage like that into the media pool. You can also take footage just from your Explorer or Finder window and just drag this right into the media pool like this, and it does pretty much the same thing. Now, one thing you might want to do in the media page is get organized. So you see how everything is kind of put in these folders here? These are called bins. And so if you right click in the empty space, in this context menu, you could say new bin, and that'll just make a blank folder here. And we'll call this camping footage. Just a reminder, you guys aren't going to have this footage right here. This is just sort of a little demonstration here. You can select any footage.
I'd rather use the Windows Explorer than the built-in media storage explorer. I don't know why I'd use that. Oh, I guess other than you can scrub through the media, I guess, before you drag it into the pool.
Put in the folder and just drag it in like that. Double click on the folder to open that up, and then it adds it to this list here. This is the bin list, and you can quickly jump to any bin just by selecting the bin like that. Now, you can make your own bins like this, but there's also something called smart bins. Now, smart bins are really cool. You can
Wait a minute, going back.
Explorer or Finder with that, which has to do with actually capturing things from a film scanner or a tape deck, and we're not going to get into that today. Mostly what you need is the inspector, the metadata panel, and the media pool. So yeah, to import things into Resolve, you can go to the media storage and drag it in from the media storage like that into the media pool. You can also take footage just from your Explorer or Finder window and just drag this right into the media pool like this, and it does pretty much the same thing. Now, one thing you might want to do in the media page is get organized. So you see how everything is kind of put in these folders here? These are called bins. And so if you right click in the empty space, in this context menu, you could say new bin, and that'll just make a blank folder here. And we'll call this camping footage. Just a reminder, you guys aren't going to have this footage right here. This is just sort of a little demonstration here. You can select any footage you want to put in the folder and just drag it in like that. Double click on the folder.
So a bin is a folder. A bin is a folder. There's not really any distinction between the two. They're the exact same thing. Why do they call it bin? Why not just call it a folder? I'm trying to think of an example of another program that does it like that. Actually, there is a program I use. Anyone's gonna know this program, and in fact, I don't even know if I can legally say what the program is because I use it for my work. But in fact, yeah, I'm just not gonna say it. What a weird thing for me to say. The reason I'm saying that is because my work. I work as a developer. Okay, that's what I'll say. I work as a developer in a company, and I just want to make sure that I'm not saying something that I'm not allowed. I probably am allowed to say it, but I'm just gonna play it safe. But they call the folder structure families. Every folder is a family. I don't know why that's a thing. That's a weird thing for me to say. I'm sorry.
And then it adds it to this list here. This is the bin list, and you can quickly jump to any bin just by selecting the bin like that. Now, you can make your own bins like this, but there's also something called smart bins. Now,
Smart bins.
By default, there's a couple of smart bins happening.
The smart bins are smart folders.
It'll automatically kind of smart sort some of my media. So here's video clips, here's things with just audio. And if you have the studio version of Resolve, you can right click on any piece of media and go to Audio Classification Analyze, and that will think about what kind of audio this is, and it will put it into the correct category. So this toilet flush would be an effect, right? If I go to this upsetmom.wave, go to audio classification analyze, this is mostly dialogue. If I switch over here, it's put this in the dialogue folder because it's mostly dialogue. And so that can be really helpful to kind of get yourself organized just with those automatic kind of things. So I can just shift select all of this, right click, say audio classification analyze. Again, this is only in the paid version of Resolve. It does this. It's not essential, but it is kind of cool. And if I go down here to subcategories, there's all these subcategories that it makes, and it's pretty fun. So like here's ones with a lot of breathing, here's ones with bodily functions, here's one from a boat, apparently. It thinks that there's boat sounds or cattle sounds. And so it's not perfect, but it's kind of fun to see what it thinks your audio contains, right? So it thinks there's pigs and livestock and sheep and everything. So I don't know if it's, look, there's toilet flushing though. We got toilet flushing. Rocked that. It was amazing at toilet flushing. So am I. And so that's kind of a cool thing. You could also, I'll just twirl up this collections here. If you right click under smart bins, you can say add smart bin. You can make a smart bin based on properties that you want to sort by. It doesn't really add these to a bin just like you would normally add it to a folder where it just kind of moves this piece of media into the folder in the media pool. It actually is more like a filter, just kind of like these collections are. It's sort of like a search filter. So all of this audio isn't really in the dialogue bin. It's
Oh,
just sorted by dialogue.
apparently I slept for 8 hours. Oh, not quite. I got close to sleeping for 8 hours yesterday. In deep sleep for like less than an hour. Honestly, I get so much core sleep apparently, but not enough deep sleep. I just really struggle with deep sleep. I don't know if that's the phone struggling, not the phone, or the app struggling or not. Average sleep for the past month has been just barely, like, very close to 7 hours. Average sleep over the past week has been like 7 hours though, so that's good. Average sleep in the past 6 months has been 7, almost 8 hours. Need better sleep.
You
Need
can
to
make a
think
smart bin.
better sleep.
I say add smart bin. And I could do something like media pool properties, file name contains, let's just say GC for ground control. And that's going to search for anything with GC in the name, and it's going to put those all together, right? And you can even drill this down more. So anything that has GC in the name and, with shot and scene, let's say the scene is scene 1. So none of that actually is tagged as scene 1, but if I create this and then I go to my media, let's just grab something that says GC house door open. We can go to scene and say scene 1 like this, and then now in our smart bin we have GC with scene 1. And so we can get really crazy and get super organized. And if you're an OCD person, oh baby, you can just go nuts. So much fun. Another cool thing that's sort of related to this is you can do keywords. So if we were to go through here, if I hold control, select all of these and say check and say drop like this and hit save, you should all have the drop keyword on them. Yep. Under our smart bins, if I click on keywords and then twirl this down, we're going to have keywords for various different things. So anything that has the keyword drop will be in those smart bins. We have some keywords added for clips with our actress Gwen. We have things tagged as wide angle. And so definitely play around with this way of making smart bins, because especially if you have a bigger project than this, it's really helpful to be able to organize things like this so you can find stuff quickly, organize stuff by scene, that kind of thing. I'll show you one other cool thing in the media page before we get into the other stuff. This has already been done for you, but if you double click on a piece of media, you can open it up, and if you happen to be using a slate, you can look at the slate numbers. And so we have scene 4, shot 8, take 1, and you can go through and listen to your audio and find scene 4, shot 8, take 1, which is right here. And if you have separate audio like this, you can control select both the audio that you want to sync and the video that goes along with it. And then you can right click and go up to auto sync audio, and then go down to based on waveform. And what that will do, you just barely even see it, is it will figure out where this audio syncs up with the video, and then it will link it to it, and it will just stick the audio in place of the on-camera audio. So if I double click on this and play this back.
Go check it out.
No, you go check it out.
And so now we have in place of
That's quite cool. Let's test that out real quick. So we've got media, and then we go, what's on this one? This was edit. This one? Sure. I'm gonna take one. This is take one anyway. How long does it take for them to say the action? I just want to see to that part. Are they adding the smoke? So, want to sync that one, this one, oh, this and this. We want to sync these together. What was it, the thing that he clicked? He clicked auto sync audio based on waveform. I don't really know what that did, but okay.
This back.
Go check it out.
No, you go check it out.
And so now we have this nice secondary audio synced with the lips. And you can right click on any of these clips, go up to clip attributes to change a bunch of stuff. But there's these tabs up top. And if I click on
Clip attributes audio. So what happens if I mute that? Works exactly as I was expecting. Embedded channel 1, embedded channel 2. And that's as expected, and then this is channel 2. And this is the link channel. Okay, that is way better. I don't know why I struggled before. Maybe it was already linked. That's why. That's quite cool that you can link some audio to a video. I wonder how I can maybe best capture audio. I have a really good audio capture device here, but connecting this to a camera tricky. Might be worth getting a shotgun. Is it a shotgun that you need? A shotgun mic is like a very specific location, isn't it? But then it captures it well. Hmm. Something to think about. I feel like if I start going that in depth though, I might as well go all the way and actually get Davinci Resolve itself.
Audio tab. After you have it synced, it's going to say linked channel 1. You can switch this back to embedded channel. This is just the on-camera audio, how it was recorded, just so we can hear the difference here. I'll hit OK. Bring this up.
You go check it out.
And so now we have the on-camera audio, which is way worse.
Uh, what do movies use for audio? How do you get cinematic audio?
What is going on, guys? Ted here with the A team. Today we're going to go over 4 tips on how to get better cinematic audio. Let's do this. Makers and sound mixers really feel embarrassed about using sound effects because they feel like they're cheating. They feel like they didn't get it right the first time in camera or in the recorder. Just accept the fact that you will use sound effects. Everyone in Hollywood really does. So there is no shame. So just do it. Use the sound effects. You can really create a textured environment of audio for your movie that wasn't there. When you add sound effects, you can really create the environment. Often we try to record in the most quietest environments possible, but then your film sounds vacuumous and hollow. You need to go back and add all the sound effects to really kind of make it feel real and alive. Right on. So don't be afraid to add some character to your audio. Tip number 2. Let's do this. All right, so now we're on set for our second tip. Now what is that second tip for better cinematic? An actor, they always sound like they're 6 inches away. But when we actually shoot in a wide shot, they should sound like they're in a wide shot. By actually making it sound like they're in a wide shot from the boom being further away from the actors, you actually create the...
It's a boom mic, isn't it? What's a boom mic? Let's be honest, talking about a Rode mic here. Boom Rode mic. Thing. Or something extra maybe to look into in the future. For now, I think this is pretty good for a lot of audio stuff. And considering sound effects are also a very common thing to use, that's fine.
Right click, go up to clip attributes, and change this back to link channel anytime you want. And what I like to do is go through the audio in the media page and figure out the scene and shot and type this in for all of my clips as I import them into the project. And so if you have a project with secondary audio like this, it can really, really save you a lot of headaches later if you just go through and organize them like that. And the media page is a great way to do that. And then you just match them up, right? We can switch this to our list view, and I can right click on this top part here, and we'll just uncheck most of these. Let's just uncheck almost all of these because we don't care about most of this. We do care about scene, shot, and take. Everything else we'll just, we'll keep on synced audio too, like this. And now we have the shot and the scene and the take, and we can organize them by shot. And this way, if we have everything tagged, the 2 clips that should sync up are going to be right next to each other, the audio and the video. We can see scene and take are the same thing. Right click, say auto sync audio based on waveform, boom, sync that up. Kind of go through here, shift, select both of these. Auto sync audio based on waveform, boom, like that. And you can go through and sync up everything before you even get to editing. And if you have a project like this that has the secondary audio, especially something that's like a short film like this is a really great way to do it, no problem. But you can go through here and kind of get organized, and that's really what the media page is for. Depending on what you're doing, this might be super useful or it might be way overkill. Again, it's totally okay to skip the media page and just go over to the edit page, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Now let's talk about the edit page of Resolve. Now, the edit page is where we put...
Okay, I'm just gonna check with my friend and make sure that they are pushy. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. I think we've made good progress so far. We found it a bit in this. Yeah, okay. We're probably going to take about 8 hours to get through this video, I think. We understand the media player now. I'm actually really enjoying the media player. I like this. I'm probably going to be back on later tonight to go on to learning the edit page, because I'm actually really excited about learning about this now. I don't know. I'm just really, I'm, um, whatever reason I got excited about organizing my videos and audio. Um, so yeah, let's get on with this. I will, like I said, I'll probably be back on later tonight. It'll probably be more like 9 or 10 at night to watch the next video. If not, I might just watch it on my own time. Yeah, I'm enjoying this for now.